The city of Bumville has had just about enough of your absolute emperor nonsense. This time, they're taking the fight to the boys up on the hill. Let's take a look at our forces. First up, we have our Russians. They are gonna be defending the hill north of Bumville, right over there. As you can see, we are looking at one unit. Oh, these are both veteran infantry. Don't let the difference confuse you. We've got a seasoned light cavalry and then a grand battery, 3 field artillery. The other side of the battle, we got the French in the form of 1 conscript heavy cavalry, 1 unit of seasoned infantry, and 4 units of conscripts, young guard, old guard. Bit of a meme army here. I want to see if we can flood them with numbers, overwhelm them. French versus Russians. It's about a 100-point fight. It's actually 102 for the French, 101 for the Russians. Close enough for government work. Now, I've been playing a lot of 2-corps battles. They take a long time, but one of the things I want to do is really dial into this one-on-one fight. I kind of view this as a bit of a puzzle game where you've got a couple of mismatched forces, and how exactly are these French going to crack this Russian nut? Now, one of the things we got to talk about, and oh, by the way, I swapped out. These guys, since they are both veteran infantry, I went with the same. And I don't know if I mentioned this or not on the French. It's easy to tell which is the conscript infantry and which is seasoned. The seasoned have 3 mass columns, and the conscripts have just like the 4 little battalions that are all kind of loosey-goosey there. Looking back at our Russians, here's how they're going to start the fight. I think, right? Grand battery on the hill. Remember, when you're fighting or shooting uphill, you lose 1d6. Flanks protected by that veteran infantry, and then they do have their seasoned light cavalry in the back. So they can kind of swing around to whichever front they need to. But the question is, are we going to use the nation-specific rules and the era-specific rules? And I think what we'll do is we'll roll a d4 to decide that. We like to let the dice decide. On a 1, we're going to make this an early Napoleonics battle, and on a 2, it'll be mid-Napoleonics, and on a 3, it'll be late Napoleonics. So let's just pick some years. It'll be either 1800, 1805, or 1810, right? So that's 1, 2, and 3, and on a 4, we're just not going to use them. We're just going to go with a generic battle. So on a 2, this battle will be fought in about 1810. French versus Russians. I don't know that there was a French v. Russian fight anywhere in 1810, but there is today because it's happening on my tabletop. I got to set the French up, but before I do, let's take a look at those nation-specific rules. For the French in 1810, if in Spain, we're not, never mind. If on retreat from Moscow, only 1 guard cavalry division can be mounted, the other troops downgraded 1 type. So for the French, it doesn't really matter. That's all army list stuff. For the Russians in 1810, the infantry ignore 1 hit received from any shooting in the first engagement. Artillery fire that rolls double 6s inflicts 2 hits on units beyond canister range. And cavalry and infantry receive no charge bonus. So those are our Russian rules. No charge bonus for these guys. These guys on a double 6, even at what do you call it? Not canister range, like effective range. A double 6 still does 2 units, and the infantry ignore 1 hit. So, yeah, that's only going to make the French job that much harder. Sweet. Love it. 100%. I am so here for this, and I'm glad to have you here with me. I should also point out our French have an elan of 3, Russians have an elan of 4. That means on this first turn, the French have to go first. Not a problem, they are attacking. Note that everybody is within 4 inches, and our cavalry are going to hide out over here for the time being. They are in flank march. I'm just going to scoot this forest in just a scotch so that it's clear they're in range, and it's not going to make a difference, because basically they're going to hide out, let the guns destroy these conscripts, and the conscripts, naturally enough, are in flank march, or I mean in column march, so that on this first turn, they can just hustle right on up 4 inches. Come at me, bruv. And just like that, we're going to have to... Oh, I forgot. I'm going to move my leader up to there. It's probably pretty good right there. And then I'm going to be curious to see if there's any bonuses for those grand batteries to be shooting at guys in column march. Our flank attackers are going to kind of hang out here on the periphery, or just within 4. Now, they only move 3 inches because they are an attack column. And our horses, they have to stay within 4 inches, don't they? All right, we're going to bring them out just like this. We're leaving half of them in the woods, so they do get the benefit of the cover. They're still just kind of like that. So they are still in cover, and if the cannons want to shoot at them, it's up to them. For their part, the Russians are just going to go ahead and wheel around like so. And they are within 2 inches on that side. We'll go ahead and bring these guys up as well. Now, they don't have a shot over here. That's okay. Question is, what are we going to do with these horses? And I think the thing to do is wait and see how things develop for a turn or two. We could have them circle around to try to flank these French seasoned light cavalry. Remember the French have heavy cavalry over here. Light cavalry, I think we want to see how things develop and kind of plug holes. That's it for the moving. Now it's time to do some shooting, and I'm going to reset the camera so we have a place to roll dice where we're not, like, knocking over figures. And yes, you can knock over 2 mil figures. I've done it before, and I'll do it again. This battle, the Boyd calls for the hill and the town to be separated by 9 inches. It looks like I'm just under that. I'm more like 8.5. So these guys are getting into action way quicker. Not as many shots with the Grand Battery as would otherwise be the case. I'm okay with that. The Russians have a lot of advantages with their special rules. And given the fact that this is 100 points versus 100 points, if we give these guys just a little bit of, jump in the starter gun, I'm not too worried about it. Now the question becomes, the special rules for the Grand Battery. We're going to start shooting with the Russians first. The special rules say, when you get double 6s with your cannon, but I'm not rolling 2, 2, and 2. I'm rolling 6 for the lot of them. They're hitting on 4s. Wait a minute. For canister range, you roll 66, you hit on 4-ups, count the 3 highest dice at effective range. In this case, because of this special rule that says, hey, if you roll boxcars, you get 2 hits, I'm just going to count all 6s as hits. And then I'm going to count the next 2 non-6s as hits as well. I hope that makes sense to you, because I'm rolling. So we get a total of 2 6s, which are absolutely hits, and then we get 2 more hits for a total of 4. Oh, and I should have specified. Since I didn't, we're going to roll 1, 2, 3 are all geared up. They're all in range for the cannon. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's who takes the 4 hits. 1, 2. Guys in the center now have 4 hits. And that is gonna cause some problems. I know for sure that they are pinned. And if we check the cheat sheet, and by cheat sheet, I mean the actual books, it causes them to become disordered. So they're already kind of blasted. I put a pin and a disorder marker. During the next command phase, we'll remove the disordered marker. And rather than just swapping out, it just makes it a little bit easier for me. Then we have another shot for the Russians over here. And these guys are in line, so they're going to be able to fire 4d6. Now, at 2 inches of distance, they actually may even be able to charge, but remember they don't get a charge bonus, so they may not want to do that. The cavalry, they're going to be firing, and we actually will get some shots out of at least this guy. They are, check it out, right? They're only going to get to roll 1d6. But they just missed it. Probably shouldn't have focused in, if we had divvied it back like that. But we didn't, so we'll live and learn. Which means it's just going to be the one shot here, and that is going to be Because they are shooting 2 inches, they are in line. Infantry, they're not in a built-up area. And I think that's it. They're not in squares. So just 46s. And again, the Russians are veterans, so they're going to be hitting on 3 up. 3 hits is enough to pin this left flank is taking it on the chin. And that is going to be it for the shooting, unless, remember, this guy is immune to shooting. Everybody else is still 2 inches away. Yeah, horses ain't shooting. So that's all we got on the first turn. We'll take a look just to make sure. Combat, do we want to charge into combat here? These guys are going to have to charge like so if we do, but that's going to open up the cavalry for the cavalry fight. I kind of think we want to get one more round of shooting out of these guys. So let's not do any charges. Now, these guys could charge, but again, they're in the wrong formation, so that's not going to happen. So that's the end of turn 1. Then we go to turn number... you know what's nice is to double-check things. Disordered, they cannot charge or shoot. They are thoroughly confused. It will take the local commanders a long time to recover the unit as combat effective, and if they take one more hit, they're going to be reduced from conscript. They'll stay conscript, but every successful hit they make, every die roll they make, they have to re-roll 1 successful hit. We remove the pin, and we remove the pin. And then the French still have to move first. Not the pin. We remove the disorder. Now, the French commander, if he wants to, he can spend that elan, but given that he's only got 3 to play with, do you really want to spend an elan allowing a 4 wounded guy to go? I think we do. Man, we're going to get... These two are going to get blasted on this turn, though. We got to save it for losing the colors, because our guys, they're going to be conscripts. They're definitely losing colors. So we're just going to move. The French have completed their movement. The light cavalry are swooping up. We're going to have a little bit of a gunfight here. Remember, these guys can't move because we're into that 1-inch zone of control. We've got a 1-inch zone of control over here, and then these guys are within 2 inches. So the only guys really that can move are batteries. And by the way, I double-checked. These guys get a bonus when they're shooting at troops that are in attack column or march column, but only at canister range. At effective range, which we had last turn, you don't get that bonus. The question is, what do you do with these guys? And these guys are gonna rotate, and they're gonna assume flank, and that means coming over to here. They are not gonna be able to get around the corner in time to save these guys from getting charged in the flank by this cavalry, but they may be able to countercharge. Actually, they will be able to countercharge. So that will be fun. We're done moving. Let's do some shooting, and let's start with that grand battery. And by the way, just so you know, these guys moved up. We've got our veteran infantry within 4 inches. Our cavalry are within 4 inches. We are good. We're going to start with that grand battery. This time, any roll of a 4+ is a hit on this unit here. We get a total of 1, 2, 3 hits, which is enough to pin them. Like it is so. But I don't think that's enough to force any kind of a check. 3 hits cause... Nope, wait, shooting phase. 4 hits are disordered. Nope, they're just halted. However, they will get an opportunity to shoot back. Before we get to that, I want to do all of the Russian shooting. These guys, again, they are veteran infantry hitting on 3-ups, firing here. They get 3 hits, which takes these guys up to 6, and it does pin them in place. Wait, 3 hits? Yeah, it's just a pin. You need 4. And then on the veteran infantry, these guys are shooting veteran on... these guys are seasoned in... Wait a minute. These guys are seasoned infantry. They don't hit on 3s. That's only 1 hit. That's going to be a problem. Because those guys are not pinned. All right, so over here again, seasoned infantry. Got to keep your classifications right. Seasoned infantry are hitting on 4s. And in this case, they get just the 1 hit. Oh, another dubious shooting. And then we have, I think that's it. Yeah, now the French get to retaliate. So we're going to start over here on the right, or we're going to go right to left this time. This time we have a veteran infantry unit that is shooting at the Russians, and so they hit on 3s. And all 4 hits is going to be bad. The Russians are now disordered with 4 damage. These guys are within 2 inches of the Grand Battery. They're going to roll 4 dice, but they're conscripts, so they're only hitting on 5s. 4 dice, and because they're shooting uphill, I think they only get 3 dice. Or do they have to re-roll 1? If you know, throw a thing in the comments and make sure you do with the what is it? Shooting uphill, minus 1d6. Hit the bells and do the things. So 3 hits, hitting on 5s. Holy shnikes. 2 hits on the Grand Battery. I have no idea what that means, but it can't be good. At a minimum, they're pinned. Not that they were moving anywhere anyway, but I'm a little bit confused because it says in the, first of all, right, 2 hits causes a unit. These guys are treated as a single unit, but it's not clear to me how many hit points they have. Now, it says that if this guy was by himself, 2 hits would cause him to become disordered, and he's only got 4 hits. Well, what does that mean in terms of this battery? Does this battery have 12 hits? I think there's a place in here that there's probably a paragraph I'm missing. I don't know that I would combine into a Grand Battery if I'm giving up 8 total hits of effectiveness. You think the 8 hits is worth being able to roll 6d6 and hitting on 4s instead of 5s? I'm not sure that's a fair trade-off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split the baby. Instead of 12, this guy has 6 hits that he can take. All right, he's got 6 in shooting. You need to do and everything. It says in combat, in melee, on 1 hit, the guy is taken out. So what I'm going to do is if they do get into melee, then I guess there's a couple things I could do. After 4 hits, we remove 1 cannon, and then it's no longer a Grand Battery, right? Instead, because this is 1 unit, they roll 3 dice in combat. If they take 6 hits, then they're out of the game. I think it's probably the best way to do that for now. I can start poking around, the internet to see if that's been answered anywhere. But otherwise, you guys could just tell me if you're like really exercised about it. I'm down for it. In the meantime, we've done this shooting. We still have 1 more shot left to fire. That's going to be 4 dice hitting on 5s. And they're only going to get 1 hit on this unit. Which means we can do some charging. Yeah, that's all the shooting we got. Obviously, these guys can't charge. And, these guys are not pinned because they only took 1 damage. They are going to charge. So these old boys are going to get that charge bonus with the 1 damage there. All right. Cannot. And then these guys are both going to charge. Now, when you have a counter-charge situation, in the case of they don't get a charge bonus. So I think they're just going to hang where they are. And this is where I need a little bit more guidance on the rules. Who declares charges first? Maybe they do want to charge. Because even if they don't get any bonuses, no, they don't want to charge. Because they're comfortable taking the charge, I think. Because they're going to trounce these guys. So these guys move up, and they do get the bonus. The other thing they could do, now they're going to countercharge. And I'll tell you why. This is a little bit odd. See, now they both have to make a check. And I'm going to roll a green die for the Russians. They're wearing the green uniforms. I'm going to roll a blue die for the French. The French have to roll a 5 to get this charge off. The Russians only have to get a 4. So the Russians managed to charge. Now, they don't get a bonus, but that was kind of the worst possible outcome for them. They were hoping that everybody fails, because then the status quo is maintained. Then the horses are going to get involved, and we have the same situation here. This is where it gets complicated, because you've got the charge versus the countercharge. Now, notice how this unit is just at 4 inches. They're out of charge range. So these guys, these Russians, cannot charge this French seasoned light cavalry. Wait, the conscript heavy cavalry is going to charge these guys. The light cavalry cannot countercharge the heavy cavalry. Well, they cannot charge them because they're out of range. However, because the heavy cavalry moves up, these guys, these Russians, can now do a countercharge. Or I guess it's called, if the target is within range. No, that would be a reaction charge. Excuse me. The reaction chargers must roll their activation number in order to charge. And those Russians are seasoned, so they just need a 4. And with a 6, they succeed. But they cannot change their their formation. Now, if they're in line, they can squeeze down to flank, but because they're in flank, they have to go flank. And because they're behind an imaginary line right here, they have to charge the front. So we kind of move them at an oblique angle. The whole thing is a swirling melee. It's fine. What that means is we have a complicated... And it's complicated, so we're going to leave it to the end. It's complicated, baby. Instead, we're going to do the easy one first. Now, bear in mind that you've got the... And here's where I'm a poor general. I forget about the charges all the time. Or the squares, I should say. The smart play here might have been to use these guys to form square. And then what do, right? Because that prevents them from being charged by the cavalry. And then it becomes a straight cavalry and cavalry fight. The problem is then they get shot to ribbons by these guys. So this is where Napoleonics, I think I'm learning that you really want to have cavalry backed up by infantry. Because then you put these guys in an unwinnable situation. The only thing they got going for them is these horses over here. Regardless, as I said, we're going to do this combat first. And it's going to be... do we get any bonuses for attacking a guy that's disordered? In melee combat, now the French charged. And they are hitting on 3s because they are... That is our one... No, they're hitting on 4s. I'm sorry. That's a seasoned combat. Hitting on 4s. They do get the 4d6 for being in line. They get the +1 for charging. And, man, is that it? Disordered units reroll 1 successful hit. There you go. That's what it is. Right, so 5d6. Hitting on 4s. We get 2 more hits. That takes these guys to 6. And when you get 3 hits in infantry, well, they didn't recoil. Okay. These guys get to counterattack. They're going to roll 4d6. They are veteran infantry. Veteran infantry hits on 3s. Which means these guys did take... Ah, dang it. Which means these guys did take 3 hits, and they couldn't charge. And so they are pinned, and we're gonna negate the charge bonus. Sorry, guys. Sorry, I misread my sheet. The smart thing to do would have been to have 3 dudes so that all of my veteran infantry... Well, but these guys are seasoned. The smart thing to do is use better figures, I guess. Hey, we're here. What are you going to do? These guys, remember, they are going to roll 4d6 to attack the French, and it's 4d6. They didn't charge, no bonus there. They have to re-roll one successful hit. Veterans hitting on 4s. And they only got one hit, so they got to re-roll that. And that's a 5, so they get one hit. All right, over on this side, we got to refigure out what's going on. The first thing that's going to happen is the French are going to attack. And they're only hitting on 5s. Now, they did not charge, so they only get their 4 dice. Hitting on 5s, they get a grand total of no hits. Then the veteran Russians attack back. Now, the Russians charge, but they don't get a charge bonus because of the period-specific rules. So, hitting on 3s, they get a total of 2 hits. Takes these guys up to 5. And with 5 total hits, no, with 2 hits, there's no other effects. Now, the horses get involved, and here it gets a little bit confusing because these horses charged and these horses charged. We're going to do the easy one first here. These guys are in flank attack. They're squadrons, so they're going to roll 2d6. They are seasoned light cavalry. They get a hit on this heavy cavalry. These guys are getting hit in the flanks. They don't get to counterattack. They charged no bonus dice for that. And you know what? Wait a minute. There's something else. There's something else. Light cavalry. There's a thing about the light cavalry. Light cavalry have, you gotta go to where it describes cavalry types. Light cavalry, they receive no charge bonus. Well, we knew that already from the period specific. Now we gotta figure out what happens with these guys. Gotta split the dice. That is heavy cavalry. And heavy cavalry, reroll 1 unsuccessful hit roll on the charge. I'm gonna use 2 different kinds of dice. They are in line, so they're gonna get to roll a total of 5 dice. They did charge infantry. Well, they get a charge. All right, so there's our 5 dice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dice. 4 for the line, 1 for the charge. They are attacking infantry, not in square. They get an additional 2. Well, wait a minute. They're attacking some infantry, but they're also attacking cavalry. All right, well, hold on. We'll get there. Cavalry. I forgot did I subtract the d6 from that? They should have rolled 1 less die. Let's assume I did. And then I think that's it. Yeah, so they're going to roll a total of 7 dice. Kind of. Wait a minute. But they're attacking infantry and cavalry. So if they're only do they not get these because they're attacking both? Or do they? And then there's a thing where, because if normally they get 4 dice, they would get 2 dice against this and 2 dice against this. So you split it in half. So, oh man, this gets really complicated. There's not a whole lot of guidance, right? That sound familiar? So what I'm going to do, because they're attacking a mix of infantry and cavalry, that heavy cavalry, I'm going to take away 1 because they're attacking cavalry. Although they are attacking light cavalry. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll 3 dice for these 2 guys and 3 dice for these guys, right? And this is conscript heavy cavalry. They're only hitting on 5s. The white dice are going to be hitting the cavalry. They get 2 hits on the cavalry and 1 on the infantry. So this infantry goes to 2. And the 2 hits on the cavalry means that everybody's got to break off to the tune of 4 inches. When you're cavalry and you fail to defeat your opponent, you have to break it up there, fellas. So we're going to move this guy from back to back 4 inches like so. And leaving it flat. And then likewise, the same thing happens with our heavy cavalry. They're just gonna withdraw 4 inches. I think that's it. So that's it. That is the end of the turn. And I think we did okay. I think we got things mostly right enough to not upset the haters. Nobody's lost any units yet. It's just been a slow degradation. The French have to move first. And so these guys are going to move up to the one. Oh boy, you better move out of the way there, Chief. Is everybody within 4 inches? 4 there, 4 there. So then these French are going to come to the base of the hill. They're 1 inch away, and they're... Oh, first of all, we remove all of our little white. This becomes a white pin unit. All right, so then they move up, and then we will... Hey, guys, where's your damage? I think you were sitting on 4, weren't you? We're going to move these guys up behind, like so. And what do we want to do with these guys? I think we want to wheel these guys around over here. We're going to go ahead and form line, so they are now backing up their bros. With 5 hits, remember, they got to re-roll all their bad stuff. And I think that's really all we can do for the French at this point. And then it becomes a question of, are these guys... The French are going to, of course, move up to within 1 inch here, and they're going to be ready to charge. And then these guys are going to move up again to within 1 inch because they want to... the difficulty here is if they form line and move 4 inches, yeah, let's do that. We'll move them up a little something like this. They don't have enough movement, but that way they're in line. They'll get the 4 dice, except that, because it's a complicated, they're only ever going to get 2 dice anyway. I guess it doesn't really matter, but at least this way they have, I don't know. They chase them down, maybe we'll line them up. We'll see when we get there. We do have some shooting. Those canisters are going to just unload. Now, here's an interesting thing. Canister are going to unload on this guy. And that's going to be a total of 4 hits, which takes them up to 7. Now, and 7, remember, if there's 2 dice on the unit, that's because it's 7. I'm not going to put 1 and 6. I'm not going to waste time doing that. And with those 3 hits from shooting, they're just halted. But remember, they were within 1 inch. Oh, and they get to shoot back. So let's go ahead and do the halted boys are gonna fire 3 dice because they're downhill. And those 3 dice are gonna go, wow, look at that. Oh, wait a minute. Because they're degraded. Oh, but were they degraded? They weren't degraded starting off. So that means those are both hits. And these guys are going to go back up to 4 hits now. And, man, they're really... Mate, do we take 1 away or do we just... No, we're just going to throw it on a pin. And I think that's all the shooting we've got. Now here's the question. Can you charge through... they're not disordered. Can you charge through a pinned unit? This unit is only 2 inches away from those cannons. Yeah, we can, which means we are right back to the charge phase, and these guys are going to charge through this disordered unit. And they're going to make contact. And they get a charge bonus. But they're going uphill, so we'll see what kind of difference that makes. And then we've got 2 horsey units that are going to be charging. And we're just going to conform. Well, first of all, we're going to roll. Do the heavy cavalry charge. Right? The blue die we're looking for, because there's a chance that this light infantry can block them out. The question is, the green die is going to succeed on a 4-up, and the blue die on a 5-up. They both charge. All right, so we're just going to kind of wheel them like so, make them conform, and that's 2 hits for you guys. And maybe we really should have put a time unit on this, because it's not looking good for the Russians with all of those French in contact with them already. This round of melee is going to be huge. I want to start with the horses first. We have got charging and countercharging. The heavy cavalry, remember... Oh, you know what else I forgot? The special bonus where these guys ignore 1 hit on the first turn. I should really have these guys at 1 And these guys should be at 5, and that might have made all the difference in the world. But it's too late to turn back the clock now, and I ain't re-recording this. But we'll at least give them back their free hits, and that's only for infantry. So the other thing we're going to do is slide on over here where we've got light infantry versus heavy cavalry versus heavy. Heavy reroll 1 unsuccessful hit on the charge. And I'm glad they get to do a lot of charging. So the modifiers are going to look like this. The cavalry are rolling 4d6. If they are charge, counter-charge, reaction bonus. All right, French first. Because they're charging, they get a plus a d6. And that's it. So 5 dice for the French. Hitting on... Oh, they're conscripts, only hitting on 5s. But that's going to be 1 hit for the French. Then it's going to be 4 dice for the light cavalry. And they're going to get a total of 3 hits. Ooh, look at that light cavalry. That's what a little bit of training will do for you. These are like hussars, light dragoons. All right, 3 hits is ugly. Oh, and you know what? You know what that means? Oh, not only that, but because it's 3 hits in combat, cavalry withdraw 4 inches and become disordered. Oh, baby. Show me the 4. And then these guys take a hit, so they go up to 4 hits because they have to follow up charge. Cavalry that win their charge, they force the heavy boys to withdraw, and we do another round of combat. Look at that. So it's 4 on 4 versus 4. Except it's going to get ugly for the heavy boys because they are disordered. That means they have an additional penalty. Disordered units, oh, they reroll 1 unsuccessful hit in combat. So it's going to be 4 dice for the French. Let's turn this so we can see that. There we go. 4 dice for the French, rerolling 1 successful hit. Now they are conscript heavy cavalry. So they got 2 hits, and they got to reroll that. So they got 2 hits, which takes these guys to 6. And then it's going to be 4 dice for the light cavalry. And even though it's a charge, it doesn't matter. And they're going to score a total of 3 hits, which takes our heavy boys up to 7. Not only that, but they have to withdraw again. Oh my God, look at all this pressure they're putting on them. So these guys will recoil another 4 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4. They'll get chased up another 4 inches, and we got to fight another round of combat. How about that? The French are going to roll, and they're going to get 1 hit, which they have to re-roll, and they hit with that one, so now this light cavalry is up to 7, and then the light cavalry is going to roll, and they are going to get their 2 hits for the season, and that removes these guys as... Oh, by the way, that removes these guys as a fighting force. They got to make their elan check. They fail, which means they've lost the colors. This goes down to 2, and this goes up to 5. I'm going to do a 1-core fight because it'll be easier. All right. What happens when you destroy your opposing horse on horse? If you fight a successful combat, if a cavalry unit fails to beat their target, they withdraw. Well, that didn't happen. A corps commander can recall. He doesn't want to do that. Unit is charged. I feel like I'm missing something here. With what happens when the cavalry destroy? 3 hits cause. Maybe that's it. Oh, they make another charge straight ahead if there's another unit. But there's not. If they force an opposing, they must charge again. Yeah, I guess that's it. They're just done. But they're sitting on 7 hits. Kind of dangerous for them, yeah? All right, then we're going to do this combat over here. And our Russians are going to roll 4d6. I'm going to roll the yellow dice for the Russians. And I'm going to roll the... Oop, hey, careful, road. And I'm going to roll the white dice for these guys. Now, bear in mind... that these guys are hitting on, well, they're going to hit on the 6s, but because they are battered, they have to re-roll both of those. So they get no hits. And then, oh man, I hope that was a 4, because I can't, or 2? What was that? I can't remember what that was. 1 through 4. It was a 4. Yeah, no, that's right, because they took it on the chin. Now, these guys are veterans, so they get a total of 3 hits, and they remove this unit as a fighting force. That's all there is to it. And then, because they've been removed, we got to make a colors check. We'll use the blue for that. And on a 5, they fail, so we are down. Oh, we're down to 1. Oh boy, and these guys are up to 6. There might be a rule that if you're up by 5, you automatically win. Oh no, that was the rule in the 15 men. I've been playing too many games. I'm losing track. All right, we got to do this combat now, and that's gonna be now. This one's dangerous. We get these French charged, so they're gonna get to roll 4 plus a charge bonus minus. So there's our charge bonus, minus because they're fighting uphill, but they are infantry. There's the infantry are gonna the guns are gonna roll 3 dice. The infantry are attacking artillery. They get a bonus of 2 more dice. They are completely fresh. So here's our opposed rolls. The cannons get nothing. The infantry ignore first hit. Guns do. Okay, our infantry now are hitting on 5s, and they are totally fresh, so they get 2 more hits, and that takes these guys up to 6 hits altogether. And I think that removes them as a fighting force. So the guns of October, I mean, it's before the October Revolution, but whatever. So 6 points. Guns are wiped out. These guys are free to do whatever. And, oh, we got to make the Elan check. Those guns are going to make their Elan on a 4 up. And on a 1, the tide has turned back down to 2 to 5. So the French have a little bit more breathing room, which they might need because they've got another combat over here. These guys are locked in combat. It's going to be 4 seasoned infantry dice. Look at that. All right, so there's our 2 hits on these guys, taking them up to 7. And for their part, the Russians now are going to be fighting back with 4 dice, and they're going to do absolutely nothing. And that's the end of the turn. Still anybody's game. We'll see if these guys... Now, they have to be recalled. The French have to move first, but they don't know. So what do? We're going to move these guys around like so. We'll wheel them this way since that's the side. It looks like our seasoned infantry is doing pretty good against those veterans. We're going to swing these guys around this way, and we're going to swing these guys... No, you know what? Yeah, let's do that. So they're to within 1 inch, and they're to within 1 inch. Now what are you going to do, Russians? And you're in trouble because you can't really back too far away. The best we can do here is reverse course and at least not give these guys a flank to hit. The horses can come in, and in line march, they can move... I think we're going to put them something like this. And I don't think we can get the flank bonus, but we should be able to... Well, maybe we can. Maybe if we bring them around not quite so far, and maybe a little bit in the woods. You know, woods aren't as big a problem. Yeah, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt right there. I like that, since everybody else is going to be in trouble. We're done. Now we got to do some shoot. Oh, the Russians have moved. The French have moved. Let's do some shooting. We are beyond that first turn of shooting, so these guys and these guys are going to be able to combine fire, and that's going to be a total of 2, 4, 6, 8 dice, all conscript, firing at this unit. They're going to get a grand total of 3 hits. No, you only have 2. Don't you do it. So 3 hits will at least put these guys in harm's way. Nope, 3 hits, they're just halted. They're going to have to pick who they're shooting at, but in the meantime, let's go ahead and tag this up to 6. They are exhausted. They're going to roll 4 shots. They are veteran, they're hitting on 3s, and let's try to wipe these guys out. No, we want to pin these guys. So they're shooting up here. Hitting on 3s. They're going to get a total of 3 hits. Success. Okay, 3 hits means that unit is halted, and that's at least 1 unit that won't be charging them this turn. We can do some defeat in detail. Then we're going to have shooting. Oh, you can't shoot into combat. So now it becomes a charge game. And the only charges we have, these guys are going to charge here and conform like so. And then our horses are going to countercharge. So what the horses are, oh, you know, we need to roll, right? We need to see if they can get the charge off before these guys hit. Neither one of these guys get the charge off. They needed a 5. They needed a 4. Yeah, they're seasoned. They needed a 4. So no charges over there. These guys, however, with just 1 hit point left, can charge into the flank of that unit. So let's do that unit first. It's only got 7. They're going to take 4 from these guys. Actually 5. And they can't retaliate against those guys. So that's going to be 2 hits, and they're destroyed. Then we'll roll to see if they do any hits on this guy. It's going to be 4. They are downgraded from veteran. They're only hitting on 4s, so they do 3 hits here, taking the seasoned guys up to 5, and now they count as conscript. But this unit is wiped out. So they have to roll to see if they save the colors. That might save the game. How about that? This is why we play to the bitter, bitter end. And then I think that's it for the turn. Nobody charged over there. So we pull off our pin markers. And then we have some shuffling to do. It's still 5-2. Well, let's shuffle like that, too. There we go. How are we going to move? Do we want to address our lines? I think we do. I think the French want to go ahead and bring... Well, these guys are just going to kind of sidle on over here and get up on that hill. These guys, we'll move our boss man back. Well, he's got to stay within 4 to here. And remember, he's sitting on 2. And then we're going to wheel these guys back 2 inches to here, and then we'll bring this unit up. Can we slide him over just a little bit more? And we'll bring this guy up here. Now remember, he's only got 1 hit point left. He's gonna have to be back a little bit, and we'll wheel these guys around, and then we're just gonna move them up 1 inch. So here's our new flank attack. That's all we got. We'll bring our oh boy. All right, so do we want to bring these guys up? If we bring these guys, if we slide them over here, our hope, we got to try to gun these guys down. So we got to stop here. And unfortunately, that exposes our flank, but shooting comes first. And then we got to bring these horses up and hope that we can ride these guys down. And our horses are facing the wrong way. There we go. I think the Russians are in for it. We're into our shooting phase, and these guys are gonna. Oh, you know what? They're not gonna shoot because they're gonna form emergency square. Whoop. And I think that's gonna do it. It's gonna be a total of. It's gonna be 4 dice against these guys, re-rolling successful hits. Whatever that is. So that's 2 hits, re-rolling, no hits. And then we've got 4 dice shooting down here, and they're only going to get no hits as well. Holy, that was all right. All right, you say so. So then we got 4 dice shooting over here, and with those, man, I wish I had like a dice catcher or something. We're going to be rolling this stuff. So all of that shooting over here is going to do a total of 2 hits. Those guys hit on 3s. It's going to be 3 hits, and that's going to pin Oh, actually, it destroys this unit. Do they pass their Elan check? They do not. So the score is now 1-6. And the only way the French are going to win this is if they wipe out the both of these units, which is possible. So first of all, they're forming an emergency square that prevents them from charging. Then these guys are going to make the flank charge, and they're going to get 1 free attack. It's going to be 5 dice because of the charge, and they're going to be hitting on, well, they're going to be hitting on 5s because they're conscript, and they're going to miss on every single one of them. Then it's going to be the next turn. Well, hang on. Yeah, what? Okay, so on the next turn, we're going to bring these guys up. You can't shoot into melee. And we're going to bring these guys 4 inches over to here so that they're within charge distance of these guys at least. And that's it. There's no shooting because you can't shoot into combat. And then we're going to have the 1 charge right here. Well, we're going to have 1 charge there. And we're going to have 1 charge here. And I think that's kind of where it's going to end. Yeah, so they were in square. No more formation charges. They're just kind of hanging tight, and they can't shoot at these guys. So we're going to start with these guys that charge. They get 5 dice. That is a seasoned infantry. They're hitting on 4s. If they get 2 of them, so yeah, there you go. They've destroyed these guys. We don't even need to roll for them. Then they're going to attack back. Now, because they have 6 dice, they're only rolling 4, and that is now a seasoned hitting on 4s. So they get a total of 3 hits here. That takes this guy up to 7. They needed all of those 4s to destroy them. And I think that's it. So these guys are gone. No, it's not it, because we got these guys. I keep saying these guys like it means literally anything. The light cavalry is charging infantry. They get to roll 6d6. And they are battered, so they only hit on 5s. And with 1 hit, that's not going to be enough, so they now have to pull back. And I think we're going to call it. We've got 3 infantry units versus 1 horse unit. Well, let's do this. We'll roll for the Russians, see if they lost. And they held their colors. So these guys now, it's just the 1 horse unit that can't really do anything because these guys are all going to be forming square and they're going to be able to chase them down. I'm going to call this a French victory. A painful one, a costly one, but they were able to just, through sheer weight of numbers, it's almost like we reversed the names on the script, through sheer weight of numbers, we're able to grind up against that grand battery. And I'm going to need to go back and reread the rules again to see if I can solve the mystery of what happens in melee with a grand battery. How many hit points does it have? Maybe I can look. I understand there's a thing out there, a computer called like the Intranets or something like that. Maybe I'll find it on there. We'll replay this. Or maybe I'll just find something else to do. Who can tell? Tune in 2 days for the next episode. Until then, I'm praying for you.